أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you guys for your patience. Inshallah it'll be worth it, because today we're talking about a topic that if you truly absorb this topic, it's going to most certainly change your life. It changed my life and it will absolutely change your life. And today we're talking about the power of reflection. The power of reflection. So one time the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he once came and pointed to a man and said, "This man is from the people of paradise, and he's going to enter." Now everyone's like, "Who is this man?" Imagine we're like, to someone in this group that's definitely going to paradise. Who is this person? And so the Sahaba, who were the Prophet's companions, they were very curious and they want to reach the highest level. So what do you think they would have done? They stayed with him, not just throughout the day. They stayed with him for 3 entire nights, day and night. Yeah? Trying to observe if there's any one little detail that they're doing, that man's doing, that got him towards paradise. And so, whilst he was staying, he noticed something very interesting. He noticed that there was absolutely nothing special about this person. Nothing. He didn't do additional extraordinary prayers during the night. He wasn't fasting more than he should have been fasting. He was a normal person, kind, respectful person. But the Sahaba, the companions, were also the same as well. So what was the actual difference between the two? And so eventually, after 3 nights, after 3 nights of trying to figure out who this man was and what exactly it was that they did, trying to figure out what exactly it was that he did, he finally asked, "What exactly do you do? Like, what is it?" And that man replied that every single night before I sleep, I forgive anyone who wronged me and I clear my heart from any resentment. Now, this is a very tough thing to do. Very, very tough thing to do. How many people are in this halaqah right now? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, plus 5, 22, 23, yeah? Okay, something around there. You will all interact with each other. There is probably going to be one person where you might make, thank you, Red, there's probably going to be one person where you might make one small mistake when you're interacting with them. You might have rushed the salams. You might have made them not feel valued. You need to have the power to reflect so deep in your heart to realize, hey, that person, I didn't do that good. I rushed the salams with him. That person asked me a question. I rushed that response. This brother over here, I accidentally backbited. For example, I spoke behind his back to someone else. Before you sleep, you have to reach out to every single one of those people and seek their forgiveness. Now, that is a next level quality that is very, very hard to achieve. Because how many people do you deal with every single day? How many people do you wrong every single day? Sometimes we wrong our own mothers and fathers pretty much every single day before we leave the house. They're like, "Oh, do you want to wear a jacket? It's cold." You're like, "No, the sun's out. I'm not." And you just leave with a t-shirt and your parents aren't happy. Could be something as simple or small as that. That could be the very thing that stops you from entering paradise. And so that man did something very simple yet so profound. Every single time before sleeping, thought, "Who have I wronged? I forgive anyone that has ever wronged me. It doesn't matter who you are, what you've done." Very hard. We're in a society nowadays where people, they don't forgive. You stole my chocolate, that's it, I've got a problem with you. For example. No, it's not that simple. Maybe it could be that simple for some of us. But maybe it could be something simple, or it could be something deep. Let's say someone backbited about you. There was once that person, did you know, in America, who his son got killed. And do you know what he did to the killer? Does anyone? Like, salam, brother Fahd, how are you? Alhamdulillah, well, thank you. I hope class went well.
Yeah.
It was good. Alhamdulillah. Inshallah, I'll probably come in next week, inshallah. Inshallah. Um, so, does anyone know what happened?
What did the Malaysian mother?
Yeah, what happened?
Yeah, he hugged the son's killer and he forgave him.
He what?
He forgave him, right? He hugged him.
Yeah.
In court.
Can you explain that a bit more about? Or?
Basically, what ended up happening was that he said that his Islam teaches him to forgive and forget. And what ended up happening was that in court, actually, while the guy was getting judged, he got up, the father of the son who got killed, and he hugged the killer and he said, "I forgive you."
Now, is this on media? Can people see this if we search it
Yeah,
up?
yeah, it is. It is.
It is. Exactly. It's documented. You literally search it up, you will see the example right in front of your eyes. A Muslim man whose son got killed in one of the most egregious ways possible. It was a horrible way to die. He forgave the son's killer and hugged the son's killer, which brought that person who had no emotion into tears as well. Now, subhanAllah, you might be thinking, like, why would someone do that? Like, what could someone in their own, how could someone forgive that person? And Islam doesn't always tell you, hey, you have to forgive the person that kills your son. Yeah, Islam is a religion of justice. But we have levels of justice. The highest level of justice is to forgive, because you know that the one that created that man will take care of him accordingly on that day of reckoning. Every single person, every single thing that you've experienced in your life, on that day of reckoning, when we all get resurrected, because we will all die. There are some people who think that they can become invincible, but no one's ever been able to live past a certain number of years. We will all die. This is a fact from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when we do get resurrected, this is the Muslim belief that when we do get resurrected, every single wrongdoing, forgiven, unforgiven, you will be held to account. Every dollar that you got on your bank account that was not supposed to be yours, you'll be asked about it. And if you do not allow that brother to get his haq now, on that day, you will bear the consequence of your actions. No one can escape from anything. You could be corporate, you could be in government, and you could be doing things that no one knows about. You can deceive the people, but you can't deceive God. This is the concept. You know what I mean, Muzammil? Exactly. So you cannot deceive the God. You cannot deceive God. You can't deceive any. You can deceive anyone. It's very easy to deceive people. Very easy. You know, be nice for a little bit. Nice, build their trust. Once you build their trust, you can start to manipulate and exploit and do whatever you want. But with Allah, He knows what's in your heart. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is closer to you than your own jugular vein, which is like right over here. He's closer to this ayah in the Quran. Allah is closer to you than your jugular vein. SubhanAllah. So the key concept is when you go to sleep, and this is something that we need to all apply. When you go to sleep tonight, before you go to sleep, think about every single person you saw. Even if you don't even know what their name is, just their face. And if you feel like you did something wrong, even if you didn't, go and ask for their forgiveness, message them at least, and they're probably going to respond and say, I don't know what you're talking about. What did you didn't do anything wrong? But at least you're clear conscience. Yeah? Because the heart can get darkened by any small action. Absolutely any small action. So this was his secret. Reflection before rest, always. And also, if you're angry at people or you don't like what people have done to you, you also forgive them from your heart, no matter what they've done. Just understand where they're coming from, because the Prophet ﷺ says the believer is not stung from the same hole twice. So we don't believe in going and doing the same mistake. If you do a mistake, let's say you trusted someone that you shouldn't have trusted, or you did a business dealing with someone you shouldn't have done a business dealing with, you don't just go and blindly do the same thing again. You understand, hey, I should not do business with this person. They're very money hungry. I'm not going to approach them anymore. However, I forgive them, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward me on that day when I need the most help to go to Jannah, to go to paradise. And so it is very important that you don't get stung from the same hole twice. But if you can't reflect on your actions, if you don't have the ability to actually reflect, you're going to literally be getting stung thousands of times without realizing. It could be something simple, like when you're studying, you've got the exact same habits. One night before your assessment, one night before the assignment, you pull an all-nighter, you miss Fajr, you miss this, you miss that, and your day's gone. If you keep doing the same thing, you're not reflecting on your actions. You're just living, right? And that's not what we're here for. We're not here to just live. We're here to grow. Something simple. It could be the way you speak to someone. You realize that person, I can't speak in this way to them. They're not going to take it the right way. I need to adjust my language. You don't continue speaking the same way to them. We don't get stung from the same hole twice. And so Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu, who was one of the dear companions, and he was the man when the Prophet ﷺ asked, who's willing to donate, who's willing to give when they needed money, when they needed wealth, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq gave all of his wealth, everything he had, and Umar gave half of what he had. He said, take account of yourselves before you are taken to account. You take account of yourself. You take full ownership over your own life. Who do I talk to? How do I treat people? Before Allah holds you to account, you need to be stricter on yourself. You need to have standards on yourself. And it's very hard to do. And that's called muhasabah, which is self-accountability, daily muhasabah, self-accountability. And so what we need to do is three things. Number one, reflection. Because if you can recognize your own mistakes, reflection brings awareness. Number two, if you're aware of your mistakes, you're automatically going to become more humble because you're not going to think you're invincible and you're not going to think you're something more than you are. Number three, once you are humble and you have that humility, because you know your own mistakes, allows you to forgive others. If you know that I've wronged 20 people today, how could you have an ego? How could you think you're something special when you realize you've done self-reflection and you realize I've made so many mistakes. I have to, like, you don't have time to think about anyone else. You just need to focus on yourself. The reason why people develop egos and the reason why people perceive themselves to be higher than others is because they have this self-aggrandized view of themselves, or they think they're better than everyone else, and they have no reflection on their own mistakes. They don't realize that we're all going to be buried under the dirt. They don't realize that. They think that they're invincible and they're going to live in this dunya for the rest of their entire lives. And so, my brothers, very, very important that we do what? That we reflect every single day. And if you are struggling, you don't know how to reflect, you don't know whether you've made a mistake with another brother, you don't know whether you've done something wrong, start by trying to reflect. Start by speaking with people who do know how to reflect. Reflect on this halaqah. How are you doing today? Were you annoyed that Brother Mahdi was late, or did you forgive Brother Mahdi? For example, bro. Reflect on these things. Understand where people are coming from. Because if you can forgive people before you sleep and you can reflect before you sleep, inshallah, we can all become that man who goes to Jannah. That woman, that man, doesn't matter what gender, obviously. You know, you can become that person. And one brother in this halaqah right now, I'm not going to name him. I've been in contact with him. He decided to take this advice on already. SubhanAllah. He reached out to all the brothers that he's wronged. It took him like probably an hour. He reached out to every single person. He's literally sitting in his gathering right now. He knows who he is. And he reached out to every single person. And subhanAllah, every single person not only forgave him, they developed more respect for him. And he in his heart felt at peace. And now he's clear heart, clear conscious. Let's all try to do the same. If you've wronged anyone in this gathering in any way, shape, or form, ask for their forgiveness, bro. Be comfortable being like, bro, can you please forgive me, man, for what I did? Like, if you feel weird about that, if that makes you feel uncomfortable, if that makes you feel dodgy, like, see, like, oh, over there, exactly. You know, you forgive him. You forgive Liam for bear hugging you. Yeah. Be like that. If that's cringy to you, you've got a problem. Is what I'm trying to say. If you find that weird, like, how can I go to my mum and ask her to forgive me, bro? That's weird. What? It's my mum, bro. If you have that mindset, we have work to do, right? Okay. Let's have some cake. All right. Make dua for Auntie Sanada, who, mashallah, she's I don't know if you guys know Brother Almir Kolan, the Islamic finance expert, his wife. Obviously was aware that we run this halaqah, and mashallah, she runs a really beautiful business called Tamar Licious. You know how you have the word delicious? Tamar, what does that translate to? Dates. Tamar Licious, aka it's so delicious and it has dates in it and it's healthy and it's good for you. Yeah? And we've heated up the.
Yeah, it's heated now.
It's heated?
Yeah.
Amazing. We'll sort it out. Awesome. Jazakallah khairan, guys. And Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.